Alright, so today we are going to be designing the Girl Scout of Gateway Council little keychain, little pendant here. So as you can see, I have the already modeled version here with some text on the back and a hole for the keychain. So I designed this from a photo, so the photo I have here of just the little logo and the text. So that's what we're going to be designing today. Alright, so I'm going to open up a blank workspace, so a new design. So I'm just going to click on create new design. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my units. So I'm going to go to the bottom right where it says edit grid. I'm going to click edit grid and change it to inches and click update grid. Alright, so now my units are in inches. And the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my view to orthographic. So right here on the left, I'm going to click on orthographic, which is the last setting. So now my view is flat. Alright, so now let's start modeling. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my top view and I'm going to drag out a cylinder on my right. So I'm going to drag out our orange cylinder and we're going to change one of the dimensions of our cylinder. So if you click on one of the points, it's a 1 by 1. So it's for the width, it's 1 inch, and for the length, it's also 1 inch. So we're going to change our width to be 1.5 inches. So I'm going to type in 1.5. And there we kind of have that shape that we see here. Alright, and we're also going to change our height. So for height, it's 1 inch right now. I'm going to make it 0.25, so 0.25, so a quarter of an inch. And if you want to, on the right here, we can change some of our settings. I'm going to make my sides max and my segments also max to get a really nice and smooth object. Alright, so we have our top. So let's go ahead and make our the two little ovals that we have here on the right and the left. So to do that, I'm just going to click on our object here and I'm going to click duplicate here at the top, or you can do Control D. So Control D to duplicate, and now I'm just going to drag out the second one. So we have two now. And what I'm going to do with the second one is I'm going to click on the rotate button and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, so 90. Alright, so now I'm just going to drag it, and I'm just going to use my mouse to just drag it and kind of align it how I want. So you can zoom in a little bit, whatever looks good, so you can look back and forth at the photo, and when you think it looks good, you can just go ahead and leave it. So we'll try that for starters. So now I'm just going to click on the one we have here again, and I'm going to press Control D or duplicate here at the top left, and I'm just going to drag the second one to match what we have here on the left, so they look exactly the same. Alright, that looks good. So now let's go ahead and add the little heart kind of shape we have here at the bottom. So to do that, I'm just going to click on a heart. So on the right here, I'm going to go all the way down until I see heart. So I'm going to drag out a heart. And I'm not going to change any of the dimensions of the heart except for the height. So for the height of the heart, we're going to make it the same as the others. So 0.25, so a quarter of an inch. And now I'm going to go back to my top view, rotate a little bit. And I'm going to drag this heart and I'm going to make sure it's in line with our other objects, so straight in the middle. And actually there's a setting to do this, so we could just use the align tool. So I'm going to click on the heart, I'm going to hold down shift and click on the object we have here at the top. I'm going to click align, or you can press L, and I'm just going to click on the oval here at the top again, so the dots are only around here, and I'm just going to click on the middle. So now it's perfectly aligned in the center. I'll just click out of that. And I'm going to move the heart until I'm satisfied. So I'm going to move it up a little bit. I'm going to make sure I'm not moving it anywhere to the left. So I'm just going to type in 0 for that first box. So this should be 0. And let's see. This kind of looks good. I'm always going to look at my reference picture. Yep, that looks good. Alright, so now let's go ahead and add the inner part so our object is completely closed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out a box. So on the right here, I'm going to bring out a box and just leave it in the center. And I'm going to change the height of our box. So our box is 1 inch, and again, we're going to make everything 0.25, so 1/4 of an inch. There we go. And now it completely covers the inside of our object. Alright, so I think I'm satisfied with our shape here. We could drag this up a little bit if we wanted to. Yep, that looks good, I think. Let's go and check our reference picture. Yep, that looks good. And we can make our box bigger if you see any small holes. So I can see a little gap here. So I'm going to just make my box a little bit bigger. No specific size, just enough to cover everything in our object. So that looks good. Alright, so now I'm just going to select everything, and I'm going to press group here at the top. And now it creates our object and makes it one solid object, like that. Alright, so now that we've grouped it, we can change our color by clicking solid and just changing it to green, since that's the color of the logo. So now let's go ahead and add some text. So I'm going to click on work plane here, and I'm going to click on the top of our object. So it brings a new green grid here at the top of our object, like that. So I'm going to click on my top view again, and I'm going to go all the way down until I see text, and it's in red. So I'm going to drag out text, put it in there, and I'm going to type in what I want my text to be. So we want ours to say GSGC, for Girl Scouts Gateway Council. So I'm going to go ahead and change my color by clicking solid. I'm going to change it to white, and I'm also going to make this a lot smaller than it is right now. So I'm going to look at my reference picture, kind of see how big it is. I'm just going to put it in about the middle, so maybe a little bit smaller. And you can also go to snap grid at the bottom right and turn it off if that helps. Now it's a lot easier to move. Just trying to get mine perfect. Alright, that looks about right. And I'm just going to click on work plane and click anywhere on my workspace. And now kind of looking at it, the heart looks like it might be a little too far down. So what I could do is I could click on our green object here, and I could click ungroup here at the top, and I can go ahead and move our heart a little more upward if I wanted to. So like that. And then I can go ahead and just group everything back again. So I can just group everything. And actually, before I group, I should change the height of my text. So this text is 0.5, so I'm going to make it 0.125. And I'm actually going to hide our text first. So I'm going to click on the text. I'm going to click on the little light bulb here. And now I'm going to group everything back together. So group. And now, yeah, that looks a lot better. So I'm going to change the color again, and I'm going to go up here to this light bulb here. I'm going to click it, and now our text should come back. So now I can select everything and press group again. So now it groups our objects. And you also want to change it to multicolor, because in a second it's going to load and it's going to make everything one color like it just did. So I'm going to click on solid and then click on multicolor so that it brings back our colors. Alright, so now we're almost done. All we have to do is add the hole here, and we have to add our text at the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate our object. So I'm going to click on my side view. I'm going to rotate it negative 90 degrees, so it's facing front, like that. And now I'm going to first work on the back and add the text on the back. So you can put your name. I'm going to write Shiva Robotics on mine. So I'm going to click on work plane and click on the back. I'm going to bring out text. I'm going to go all the way down, bring out text again. And now I'm going to type in what text I want. Oops. Now I'm going to type in what text I want to write. So I'm going to type in Shiva Robotics. And now this is really big, so I'm just going to scale that down, just holding one of the edges, one of the little white edges. And I have to scale it down some more, looks like, till it's around a good size that I like. So that looks about right. That looks good. So I'm satisfied with that. So I'm going to change my color to white. And if you look at our other model, the Shiva Robotics text is kind of inside our object. So what we can do to do that, first I'm going to click out. I'm going to click on work plane and click somewhere on our graph. And now I'm going to make our height, so the length actually of our text, I'm going to make it, instead of 0.5, I'm going to make it 0.125. Alright. So now I'm going to click on the text and I'm going to press Control D to duplicate. And once I do that, I'm actually going to go up here and I'm going to hide our duplicated object. And so when you hide it, it shouldn't look like anything changes, but something did change. So we now have only that one object, and the object that we duplicated is hidden. So we have this object, and I'm going to go ahead and move this object into our keychain. So I'm going to click on my right view, and I'm going to move our text inward, and a little box should pop up. I'm going to move it in about 0.125. So that looks good. Alright, so now, and actually before that, we should have made this a hole. So I'm just going to see if I can click on the Shiva Robotics. So you might have to zoom in a little bit. And if that doesn't work, all you can do is click on the green, so our keychain, hide that. And then now it's hidden, and we can just click on Shiva Robotics and make that a hole. So after I do that, I'm just going to go up here and unhide everything. And when I unhide everything, you can see our little text comes back. So we want this hidden again. So we'll unhide and then hide this again. And then now we can group all of this. So now we have the hole on the inside. And let's go ahead and bring back our text. So I'm going to go up here and unhide. And now I'm going to go back to my right view. And then I'm going to move this in. So a number greater than 0.125. So let's try 0.155. That looks like a good number. Or I think I did 1.157, but that's fine. So that looks good. It looks like it's in. So now I can just select everything again and group. And it'll take a second to load. And now we have our little text on the inside, and it's all one object. So now our last step is to add the hole to make this a true keychain. So I'm going to go to my front view. I'm going to click work plane, and I'm actually going to click on the back of my part. So work plane and then the back, but I'm going to look at the front of the part. And I'm going to go up to cylinder. I'm going to drag out a cylinder. And it might be a little hard to maneuver and look at, but you can always look at it from the back. And so I'm going to make our cylinder 0.25 by 0.25. So 0.25 for the length and the height. Sorry, the length and the width. So now that we've added our hole, we want to center it in our object. So what we can do is we can click on both of our objects. So we can just select both of our objects, click on a line, and just click on the middle. So now this aligns it in the middle. And now we can move it up or down however we like, but now we know it's centered in the middle. So I'm going to move my little upward. Alright, that looks good. Maybe a little more. Making sure we're keeping this number 0, so we're not moving it left or right. Alright, so now we can click on our hole and make it a hole. So click on our cylinder and make it a hole. And we're going to move it back. So I'm going to click on my right view, and I'm going to move it so that it's going through our object. And now I can click on work plane and just click on anywhere in my viewport. And I'm going to select everything now and click group. It'll take a second, but it should add our hole, which it did. Now we have a keychain with some text on the back. And that's how you make a keychain.